Everything went wrong the exact second we decided we could finish the job, before dark. Alex and I had been working as a team for 6 years. In our line of work, that's a lifetime. You end up knowing your partner better than your own wife. Alex was the tech guy. He always stayed on the ground with his laptop, making sure the signal levels didn't fluctuate. My job was the dirty work, climbing the towers, turning the wrenches, and physically tuning the hardware. We got a late start that day. By the time we got the work orders and loaded the spare parts, the sun was already dipping below the tree line. But the site was supposed to be simple, just a standard microwave relay tower, out in the absolute middle of nowhere. Nothing out there but pine trees and wild deer. We had to do an alignment, literally turning a heavy satellite dish by millimeters, so it shoots a signal perfectly into another dish, 25 miles away. Plus, we had to check out some new experimental module. I won't bore you with the technical jargon. I just want you to understand what we do and why we climb these massive steel structures in the first place. When Alex and I finally reached the site, the woods were already drowning in twilight. A thick fog was rolling out of the lowlands, slowly creeping toward our truck. The tower, a giant steel skeleton, almost touched the low gray clouds. It looked dead, but the faint hum of the equipment reminded us that this iron monster was still breathing. Alex grabbed his laptop and handed me a radio. Protocol says one guy stays in the truck, connects to the port, and monitors the system from the inside while coordinating my moves up top. I put on my safety harness, checked the carabiners, and headed for the tower. We didn't even need to talk. I clipped my first carabiner onto the safety ladder and started the climb. No matter how many times I do this, it's always a little scary. A tower isn't just a solid piece of metal. Did you know that at the top, it actually sways in the wind? It slowly rocks back and forth, making wide circles. From the ground, it looks still. But when you're climbing it, you feel its movement with your whole body. It feels like the earth is floating away from under you. But what you can't see is even scarier. Our equipment is no joke. If the automatics glitch, a powerful transmitter can shoot a beam of microwave radiation right at you. You won't feel the heat right away. First, you get a metallic taste in your mouth. Meanwhile, the microwaves are literally cooking your internal organs. There was no wind that evening, but the cold moisture soaked right through my clothes. My fingers were already shivering. Approaching the first set of antennas, I grabbed my radio. "Alex, I'm at the 150-foot mark. How's the signal?" "Muffled. We're losing packets," Alex replied. "Looks like some physical interference. Check the main dish." I pulled myself higher, hanging over the abyss on just one safety line, and shined my flashlight on the giant dish. "Alex, it's clear up here. How's the data looking on your end?" Silence. I tried again. "Alex, the radio was dead. Even the background static was gone." I stood on the graded platform, 150 feet in the air. The fog had completely swallowed the base of the tower. I figured maybe he was listening to music. I wasn't scared yet, just annoyed. Then I looked down. Out of the thick white fog, something was crawling toward our truck. At first, I thought maybe Alex had gone out to take a leak. But no, this thing moved wrong. Its movements were jerky, unnatural. like its joints were bending at impossible angles. It would freeze, then violently snap forward. It looked too hunched. Its back was arched like an insect's, and its arms were abnormally long. It walked up to the driver's side door, raised a hand, and knocked. The truck door opened. In that exact second, the dark figure dropped to the ground, blending into the dark chassis of the truck. "Alex, you look out!" I screamed from the top, but it was too late. Alex stepped out. The creature appeared right behind him. A long, grotesque arm grabbed his head, and just like that, it was over. There was a sickening pop. Alex's body went limp, collapsing next to the truck. The fog slowly swallowed them both. I froze, not even daring to breathe. I tried to force my brain to be rational. This doesn't happen. My mom used to tell me, if you're having a nightmare, remind yourself you're asleep. That usually worked for bad dreams, but not now. I was fully aware of what I had just witnessed. Go down and check? Hell no. That long-armed freak would grab me too. The radio was still dead. The sky was getting darker by the second. And then I heard a metallic clink from below. Someone or something was climbing the ladder. "Alex, is that you?" I yelled. A broken, unnatural laugh echoed up from the fog in response. I unclipped a heavy iron wrench from my belt. Out of the darkness, a hand appeared. It had 3 massive, thick fingers, and then came the face. It was somewhat human, but twisted, wrong, like a mutated infant. It had long, stringy, black hair. It had finished off Alex, and now it was coming for me. "Take this, you freak!" I screamed, hurling the heavy wrench straight down. It smashed directly into its twisted face. The creature flinched. Its fingers slipped off the rung, and it vanished, back into the fog. I didn't even hear it hit the ground. Dead silence. I was shivering violently. Maybe these are hallucinations. Maybe I got hit by a microwave beam, and my brain is boiling? If that was true, I needed to get down, fast. But if that danger was real, going down was suicide. I grabbed the ladder and scrambled to the very top. There was nowhere left to go. The fog was rising fast. A white void covered the world. I clicked on my flashlight and aimed it down, but the beam barely pierced the fog. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. I ripped it off my belt. "Alex, is that you? Where have you been? What happened?" My partner's voice yelled through the static. It was definitely his voice. 100%. I don't know," I stammered. "Are you okay? Where are you?" He sounded nervous. I decided to tell the truth. "I think I had some kind of hallucination." Alex's voice dropped, suddenly very calm. "Did you get hit by the radiation? Can you climb down? Or not?" "Yeah," I replied. Then get your ass down here. What are you waiting for?" I stepped toward the ladder, but my body completely locked up. "Alex, did anything happen to you down there?" "What are you talking about? I saw some thing by the truck, and you're an idiot. I'm down here alone. Climb down," Alex shouted. "Okay," I promised. "Just tell me what happened on the ground over the last hour." "Are you screwing with me? I was in the truck. We were talking. The connection dropped. I stepped outside and then..." Alex suddenly stopped talking. "Then what?" I asked. "Crack." He almost whispered it. "Crack?" "Not from the radio. The crack of my skull," he said, his voice ice cold. They killed me. He let out a weird, hollow chuckle. I just remembered. Someone grabbed my head from behind. My skull cracked. A second of pain, and then nothing. Darkness. I'm talking to you right now, but I'm not really here. I think we both went crazy. I can't see anything. I don't feel anything. It's like something pulled me out of the void, just to convince you to climb down. I only just realized it. I stood in dead silence, and then a piercing, inhuman shriek exploded from the speaker. Alex screamed at me, not to come down. His voice was cut off by deafening static. The radio died. It was just a useless brick. Again, I collapsed onto the metal platform, my knees violently shaking. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Then, from below, I heard it again, the metallic clink. It was climbing back up. I jumped up, aiming my flashlight into the fog. A dark shadow was emerging, moving in sharp, jerky twitches. I had to do something. Right above me was a heavy experimental receiver module. I grabbed my other wrench, slammed it onto the bolts, and cranked it with everything I had. Within a minute, the heavy steel box was in my hands. It weighed at least 20 pounds. The creature was almost at the top platform. A hand breached the fog, followed by its head. I raised the steel box over my head, let out a war cry, and then slammed it down directly onto the thing. It fell without a sound. I heard it violently hitting the iron beams on its way down. Then silence. I was freezing to death. I knew if I stayed up there, I was a dead man. My stomach did flips. Climbing down is always scarier than climbing up. You're stepping into the abyss. I started my descent, mechanically moving my carabiners. I stopped looking down. I just counted my steps. 20, 40, 100. Finally, my boots hit solid concrete. I shined my flashlight around the base. On the gray concrete, there was a massive smear of dark blood. The trail dragged off into the dirt. But there was no body, just a thick white wall of fog. I bolted toward the gate, slipping in the mud. I aimed my light at where we parked the truck. The beam hit the hood, and my last hope died. The entire front end of our heavy truck was completely crumpled, like it had smashed into a solid brick wall at full speed. I slowly spun around, trying to figure out which way the main road was. I had to guess. I sprinted blindly into the fog. A few steps in, the ground gave out beneath me. I plummeted into a drainage ditch. My knee popped. A sickening, sharp pain shot up my leg. I gritted my teeth, forced myself up, and kept running on a heavy limp. I made it maybe 10 steps. That's when something slammed into my back. I crashed face first into the wet grass. The weight crushed the air out of my lungs. I looked up and saw the creature right on top of me. It was covered in blood. Its face was completely caved in, flaps of bloody flesh hanging off an exposed skull. One eye was missing, the other burned with pure hatred. It roared, pinning me down, swinging its one good arm at me. The other arm hung useless, shattered. "Get off me, you freak!" I screamed. Thick strands of dark, bloody saliva dripped from its ruined mouth. I pulled my leg back and kicked it square in the chest with my bad knee. Blinding pain shot through my leg. Suddenly, its grip weakened. The creature swayed, let out a long, agonizing moan that sounded far too human. and collapsed into the grass. I rolled away, gasping for air. I crawled to my flashlight, forced myself to stand, and limped forward. I never looked back. I didn't want to know if it was getting back up. Hours passed. The sky slowly lightened, the fog thinned out, and the world returned to normal. A paved road. The last thing I remember is the harsh morning sun hitting my eyes before I blacked out. They told me later. A passing driver found me, wandering down the highway. The doctors said I was in shock with a dislocated knee. No internal damage, no radiation poisoning. Medically, I was fine. Later, the police came. They asked the same question over and over. See, they only found our ruined truck at the tower. The front end was completely crumpled, but there were no trees, no poles, and no skid marks. Just a mangled truck. In an empty lot. As for Alex, they never found him. He's officially listed as a missing person. I asked them about the blood, but a heavy rainstorm washed the area out for 2 days straight. Every trace was gone. They still drag me in for questioning. I tell them about the creature. Sometimes I ask them, "Do you guys know something?" I don't, but they just look at me like I'm a complete psycho. And honestly, I have absolutely nothing left to add.